Welcome everyone. Today we'll have another gold making guide for Lost Ark. As you can see behind me, we have an updated version of the market trade Excel. And oh boy, we have a lot of features I want to share with you guys. So the Excel now, when you change the price of the Excel, it can automatically tell you when to buy, when to hold, and also when to trade items. So this is a work in progress. You can see those icons will automatically adjust depending on the values you set to automatic buy, to automatic trade. So this will give you icons on different pricing lists. And this is quite interesting. I want to talk about the new features with you guys, but I also have something very exciting to show you guys. It's the timesheet I was working on, and this is a cheat sheet for the market trading. So I want to list the timings of the servers, which should work for all the servers. When should you be buying? When should you be holding items? When should you start to consider to sell? And those are timing windows which I have discovered, which makes me a lot of gold. I will be explaining this one to you guys in the video as well. So over here, I have updated our notes on the market trading and also market trend. So I have also included how much I traded and what I'm planning to do with my items. And we have some summary notes on the new Excel as well, including the new UIs and also new features. So make sure you use the timestamp in this video to see different parts of this video. Now what I'll do is I'll break this video down into multiple parts, so definitely check out the timestamps, so depending on which part you're interested in. Because the Excel is a little more complicated, I'll be hiding some of the parts to not overwhelm you guys. So the first part, I'll show you guys how to use the new Excel with different UIs and also different adjustments, with also different graph and also different comparisons. After that, we'll look into my work in progress, the cheat sheet, to teach you how to trade without having to read the market trend. So basically, instead of having to read the trend and do the data, this is cheat sheet will show you when to buy what item and when to sell what item, so to make things much easier for you. And also we'll briefly touch on the notes over here and to explain a few more things to you guys. Finally, I'll show you guys the new features that are work in progress for the Excel, which include the automatic trading. So this is still a work in progress because you'll be setting data for yourself how much profit you want to make. And depending on the numbers you selected, the Excel will tell you maybe it's time to buy, maybe it's the time to hold items, or maybe it's time to sell items. So this will be the final part. This is a little more complicated, so definitely guys, if you want to use this new feature, which is still testing, so make sure you understand what you're doing before you get into it. Now, similar to all the Excels and also data documents, if you want to make use of this Excel, come over to Files and make a copy. This is the best way to make use of this Excel. And also a big thank you and also a shout out to ApexDM for making this one. So this is an updated version of his Excel. And he's working on more features, which I don't have enough, time to show you guys in one video. But there's more features with, auction house, there's more features with different marketing strategies on different items. But even with those current features, it's quite overwhelming. So what we do is, let's focus on how to use this new Excel first. If you haven't seen our previous video, which I covered the first Excel, this first Excel just tells you about entering the data, inserting the data over here, and then creating a graph over here to see the market trend. So this new Excel is an improved version of the old one, but it still follows the same method and also the same pattern. So what you can see on this Excel is, you will be inserting the market price of those items we have listed. Of course, in the future, we'll have allowance for different items you want to look into, but currently those are the items we think it could be profitable to trade in the market for the servers. So basically, if the price of your item in the server, let's say Guardian Stone is 39 gold, I'll put 39 gold in. Now we have talked about how to use this generally on this video, so I won't have to cover everything. Make sure you see this video to see the details. What I do want to highlight are going to be the cells in red. Notice the items or the cells you'll be adjusting are the cells in red. So one thing is, I have added more data we have collected to give you guys a better trend. But with more data, it can be a little confusing. So notice that this graph now presents data over the 2 weeks, and this is for the item of Solar Grace. So let's say if you're looking for item like the tier 2, tier 3 shards, we don't have enough data. But if you look at something like Guardian Stone, you can see that it has been spiking during the Argos patch and then it falls rapidly. And also if you look into something like Solar Blessing, you can slowly to see a small pattern. So the Excel should help us to see the pattern. What you want to notice are going to be the starting points and also the data points. The more data points you have, the Excel will collect more data to show you a whole summary of over 2 weeks of data. But if you only want to see the data in about past few days, if you put 30 data in instead, this will show you a much more shrinked Excel and also data. So this will show you from Friday to Monday as the recording of this video. But if you put 120 data in, this will show you the trend over 2 weeks. Now, what if you don't want to use the data from the previous dates? Let's say if you think, oh, before the Argos patch, and also those times the data are not relevant. So instead of putting -1 over here, which use all the data, what you can do is you can put 100 over here, which only takes the most recent 20 data that is inserted into the Excel. When this will be useful is when you go to the Guardian Stones, because the Guardian Stones have been falling. So the previous data for this one is not very reflective. Notice the previous data goes up and down, and currently it's been falling massively. So you want to use the latest data. And those are the two important features you should be aware in this Excel, because this will give you a better summary of what is happening within the days, and also you don't get confused by a massive data. So usually the Excel is left with -1. And when it's -1 with the data point, the starting data point, this will give you over 2 weeks of data. Now, another method to select those data is by simply changing the number of data points. This will pick the most relevant data. So instead of changing the -1 over here to 100, you can also change the 120 over here to 20. This will pick the most relevant 20 data that is inserted into the Excel. Now, as you can see, there's also other features with automatic trading and also hints and also different combo chat, which you can insert multiple chats of different items. But I'll touch this at the end part because I don't want to overwhelm you guys with Excel. It's already a lot of data and information, right? So what I'll do is I can be hiding those bars for you, because I think most of us, it can be a little hard to, to see what's happening. So basically what I do is I'll hide those cells for you guys so it's not overwhelming. But if you want to extend them, because they will have usually in the later stages, you can come over here and extend those over here. So you can hide them and also extend them. Now, I know entering the data and also reading the trend is not for everyone, and this is why I want to offer my cheat sheet. So over here, if you come over to the second tab over here, you can see a cheat sheet I have designed, and this is how I do my market trading. So this should be much easier. You don't have to, try to figure out the trend. You don't have to figure out what's happening. I will pinpoint the items I'm trading, which I'll show you guys in the game, the items I have been listing, and how do I trade my items. What are the timings I buy, what are the timings I hold, and what are the timings I sell. And hopefully this will be similar to most of the servers. Maybe you want to reduce a profit margin. Don't be as greedy as me, try to go for 40% profit, maybe go for 15 or 20% profit. And this should guarantee a profit for you throughout the week. Now, the logic of this cheat sheet is very straightforward. What I have done over here is I have highlighted in green the times where KS Gate is open in the game. So what you want to see over here is, if you come over to calendars, you can see the calendars of future events. And here you can see the KS Gate. There are some days that KS Gate only runs for a few hours of the day. And there's also days where there is no KS Gate. And this is the biggest factor why prices fluctuate. So why do I mean that is, let's come over to solar grease. This is one of the items I trade. And let's have a look at, let's say 120 points. So this is over 2 weeks of data. Notice there are points in the time of the week where solar grease is really low, and then solar grease gets higher and even higher, and then falls down lower again. This pattern repeats every week. And basically what I did over here is I have spotted those patterns and I made the cheat sheet for you guys. So you know when you want to be buying for those items and when you want to start selling for those. So if you look at the first timetable over here, you can see the green parts are the opening of the KS Gate. One thing to notice is the white parts are the times where we don't have KS Gate. Notice there is about a 2-day window when there's no KS Gate after Tuesday. So this is the biggest trading window, and this is at the moment. This is why I can be listing items for much higher than the market price. What I'll do is I'll show you guys over here. So notice currently the solar grease is 92 gold, and also the solar blasting over here is about 318 gold. Currently I'm listing my items for 124 gold. I'm listing my item for about 400 gold. I can list those like this because I know the gap will be coming. Once the gap comes, the price will go up. So what I'm doing is I'm buying items when the KS Gate is open, and when the KS Gate is closed during that massive window, I'll be selling them for 30 or 40% profit. And this is how I make most of my gold during the week. Now, similar to this massive window, there is also a smaller window if you notice over here, during the time between Friday 5 AM and also to Saturday 11 AM of server time, there is also a smaller window. I also tried to trade on the smaller window, as you can see the notes over here. So during the smaller window, when I was trading, okay, that's too big. During this window I'm trading, I'm usually aiming for about 15 to 20% profit. During the bigger window, I'm aiming for 20 to 40% profit. And here you can see my trading windows. So basically what I do is after Saturday and the Sunday reset will give us new KS Gate. And during this time of the Sunday, I'll be looking into the rate up items for tier 3 like Solar Grace, Solar Blessing, and also Solar Protection. So the first time I want to buy is around Sunday if the price is low, and throughout the day I'll be monitoring the price if the price is low enough. And by the the reset on Monday of server time, the price will be really low. And throughout the day of Monday, the price will continue to go down. What I can also do is I can also be buying on Tuesday. This is the last buying window. So notice that with multiple cascade opening, the price will drop. And this is what I mean by the trend over here. So what we're reading the trend is, notice this is a low point. Basically around Saturday all the way to Monday before Tuesday, this is the time I'm buying those items. And basically with this cheat sheet, it can give you the indication this is when you want to buy those items. So the items I'm currently trading, as you can see over here with my transactions, I'm trading the tier 3 Harmony Punches. I bought about 600 of those. I'm trading Solar Grace, Solar Blessing, and also Solar Protection. Everything else I just happen to have gotten them in the game, so I'm not really buying a lot of them. And because we talk about the timing window between Tuesday and also Thursday, so notice that during this window, I know the price will go up. And this is when I list the prices for higher. Because I know around this time, if I list the price for at least 20 or 30% profit, so basically, let's say if I bought it for 90 gold, I'll be doing 90 times 1.3. This will give me 30% profit. There will be a fee, of course, but usually I don't look into the fees, I just pay the fees, right? So this is how I'm listing my items. Let's say if I buy more items at 90 gold, let's say, I'll give you guys an example. Let's say if I buy my Solar Grace at 90 gold and I'll multiply this by 1.4. So I'll multiply this by 1.4 and I'll be trying to sell this at a 126 gold. So this is how I list my items. And this is why you can see that on the market currently, basically I'll show you guys over here. On the market currently, the Solar Grace is selling for 94 gold, but I'm actually selling mine for 124 gold because I know I can make the profit by the time it gets into this interval. Now over here, you can also see some of my additional notes over here. So basically what I want to warn you guys is it takes 1 day to list your items. Let's say if you list your items, you don't want to cancel them for the deposit, right? So if you're not canceling them, it will take you 1 day to list your items. During the bigger trading window, you have 2 days to list your items. So let's say on the first day your item didn't sell, and by the second day, between Wednesday and also Thursday, you might want to list your item for a little lower. So the biggest selling point is around Thursday, after the reset and also the timing between here. So if your item don't sell by around this time, what you can do is you can consider listing them lower or monitor the market. Sometimes some price will spike during this time as well. So it's really nice to trade on the 2-day window because I'm currently trading on the 2-day window. I can afford to list them a little higher. Let's say if they don't sell for 1 day, I still can change the price on the second day. If you're trading on the smaller window, you only get 1 day to trade because you have to list for 24 hours. So don't be too greedy. If you're trading between Friday and Saturday, you only get a 30-hour window. And during that 30-hour window, I only go for 15 to 25% profit because, only 30 hours, you can't change your price. If no one buys it, the price will start to fall once this gets to green because cascade will open again. So over here, you can see the list of notes, how I made my profit last week. And also I have added how I'm planning to make my profit this week. If you remember, I had about 400,000 gold, and currently I'm only sitting on 70,000 gold because a majority of my gold is invested into those items. And I'll be updating how this works and how much I bought them for and how much I'm planning to sell them for. And this way I can show you guys I'm aiming to make about 30 to 50% profit just by doing this for one of the trading windows. Notice it's 2 trading windows, so in together I can make close to 50 or 60% profit just by trading on those trading windows. And those are coming from the market trend. So I'm not making this up, because we can see the market trend. There is a low point, there is going to be a high point, there will be a low point again. We're following the market trend. As long as the supply of an item is steady and there's no changes, unlike the Guardian Stone, which I don't recommend trading, there is a crazy supply. I don't know what's happening and the market's crashing. So what we're trading is going to be Solar Grace, we'll be trading Solar Blessing, and I'm also trading a little bit of the Solar Protection. So those are the 3 items that currently follows the pattern for me. Now coming over to a final part, in case there are some viewers who want to know what are the additional features and how those automatic trading indicators works, so what I do recommend is make sure you understand what I'm trying to say and what's happening. If you come over to the 3rd tab, this one is called Market Trend. All the cells colored in red are the cells that you can change. Basically, if you want to trade an item like the, let's say Solar Grace, if you want to buy 15% below market average price. So what the data does is, if you have -1 to 200 data, it will be creating an average of the data over the past 2 weeks. Now, this might not be very reflective because the 2 weeks of data is changing dramatically depending on the date. So what you can do is, if you want a closer and more accurate average, maybe you can go to have a look at the past, let's say 20 datas. So notice if we look at the past 20 datas, or let's say if we look at the past 40 datas, notice you want to find a point which is a low point. Maybe 40 is too much. Maybe we'll go 25. So what we're trying to do is we're trying to find a selection of data that can give us the most accurate average. Of course, you can have more data set, but the average won't be as reflective. So I can try 40. So basically you can see this is the massive drop in price for solar grays. And what's going to happen is, depending on the data set you have selected, the Excel will determine the average price throughout those data points. And depending on the amount of profit you want to make, so basically the Excel will tell you, hey, if you want to buy them for 10% lower than average price, we'll calculate that for you. And the buy threshold, if the average price is 75, the buy threshold is 67. And if you want to sell it for 25% higher than the market price, the sell threshold will be 94. So basically the Excel is trying to help you to buy at 67 and also sell at 94. There's also indicators here. You can tell yourself if you have invested into this item or not invested. Basically the Excel will also reflect those over here. So those are the reflections, whether you have invested and what are the recommendations. So with the new added function of the Excel, what you'll be changing will be the values over here, depending on how much profit margin you want to make between the daily average or the data point averages. This can be a little misleading because the data point averages, if you pick too much data point, let's say if you pick 80, you will take the Excel during the high time and you will take the Excel during the low time. And this will give you a midpoint data. So because it might give you a midpoint data, it can be not as indicative as we have hoping. So it's still work in progress. I want to look into ways to make it more easier. Basically, you can select the sales over here. Let's say if I want to buy 10% below market price and I want to sell 30% above market price. So I want to make 40% profit. The Excel is telling me that currently with the data points I entered, the average price is 98 for solar grays. But you want to be buying those at 88 gold. You want to be selling those at 127 gold. And the Excel over here for solar grays, so this is the example I'm doing, the market price is 87 gold. And by selecting that I haven't invested or invested, the Excel will tell me whether I want to invest or whether I want to hold. Let's say if I've invested into this item and currently the Excel is telling me to buy at 88 gold. And if the item prime price is 87 gold, Excel will tell me to hold on my items, don't sell them. But let's say if I haven't invested in it, I know it's a little complicated, right? So if I haven't invested in it, the Excel will telling me to consider investing and consider buying because the price is below my set price, which is 88 gold. The current price is 87 gold. So the Excel will give you some indicators depending on the numbers you fill over here and if you have invested in this item or not. If you haven't invested, the Excel will give you recommendations whether you want to invest in it. If you have invested, it will give you recommendation when to sell it. So let's say the solar grays go from 87 gold to 130 gold. The Excel will say it's fluctuating and maybe this is the time you want to be selling. Now I know it's a little complicated. And also Apex also added a menu buy function, which basically shows that if you want to have a fixed price, you want to find the item. Let's say if I want to buy solar grays at 85, you will telling me at the current price, if this is 84, you'll be telling me to menu buy because my target price will be 85. And there's a lot of functions I know. So I'm trying to give a big summary, but there's a lot of things. And finally, there is a function which you can have the alerts. Basically, if the market price is 35 or any percentage you set below the average price, it will give you an alert. Now, let's say the solar grays is at 85 gold, and I have set this to be 20% under the market price. And basically what this is doing is, this will give me an alert when solar grays falls below 78 gold, depending on the average price of solar grays. And finally over here, if you see the combo chart, let's say if you want to compare multiple items like solar grays, solar blessing, and also solar protection. So what we can do is, you can see the multi-comparison chart over here. And this will give you a overall holistic summary of how fluctuating those data is. And usually if you look at the things, let's say, that is fluctuating more, maybe there is profit to be made. So this is comparing multiple products to see which one is more profitable. And if we change the data points, let's say if it's 80, you can see like throughout those data points, which one is fluctuating more and which one will give you a better return for your gold. But this is more like a work in progress. So those are additional features. And yes, there's a lot of features. And I do hope I'm not overwhelming you guys, because I think I'm everywhere with explaining. So if this gets a little too complicated, you can still hide this one, because I'm still worried that this will overwhelm you guys. But if you want to get it back, come over here to open the tab again. So basically, as a summary, you want to set your threshold. Once you set the threshold, depending if you have invested in and not invested in Excel, this Excel will see the average price and give you some recommendations. But be aware guys, the recommendation is based on the average data. So depending on how many average data points you're using, the average price will be different. So if you have incorporated a bigger average data, this might not be very accurate. And if you have gotten a little greedier with your buying and also thresholds, this might not be great. So usually what we do is we do a little bit, maybe less threshold, maybe we do 10%, 10%. So if you do a 10%, 10% threshold, this is a 20% profit. And Excel will try to reflect on that. Now make sure guys, if you want to look into this, it is a little harder, and I do not recommend investing into the Guardian Stones or the Destruction Stones, because those are pretty everywhere in price. And if you haven't touched on those items, I strongly recommend reinvesting into the items I'm currently looking at, because my cheat sheet will work for those. I don't think the cheat sheet will work very well for other items, because they do not follow the cascade. Now it definitely took me a little longer to try to explain the new features of the Excel, and hopefully I didn't confuse you guys too much, so hopefully that's okay. If it's not, give me a message and I'll try to make it easier for you on the next video, because I want to share the new features, but there's a lot of them to explain. So basically the 3 points you want to take away from this is you can hide everything that is too complicated, and this is just something we're trying to add from our features. So basically you can edit the values over here, you can update the Excel using instructions from the previous video. And once you have updated Excel, you can change the data over here. So depending on the data points you're changing, you can see a holistic summary, or you can see a more recent summary. So this is changing the data point to see different summaries. And of course, come over here to my cheat sheet, because those are the timings I'll be trading my cascade items. And those has been working for me. And what I'll do is I'll make a video to update you guys on how well I have sold my items, and whether I made a profit, or if I made a loss, or maybe I made a less profit. And if you guys do want some written notes, over here we do have the updated version of the Google Docs over here to see the updated notes I have entered over here. So I've written some notes about Excel, about tips, but I do think I have covered them a little bit in this video. So one thing to take away guys, the work in progress of the new features, don't use them blindly. Try to understand them, and hopefully I explained properly. I know I'm a little everywhere, so I'll try to make a better explanation in the future videos if this one's too complicated. Now, if you guys haven't subscribed to this YouTube channel, make sure you do so, because we'll be getting a lot of guides, a lot of tips as I discover them, and I love the game. So I want to share as much as I can with you guys, and let's have a great time in Lost Ark as we explore this game and get the most out of it.